Good evening all. Welcome to Wedmore Parish Council meeting via Zoom on Wednesday 17th of February 2021. First item on the agenda is to welcome Councillor Jonathan Newton to the Council and to agree that he can sign the declaration register when circumstances permit. So welcome officially, Jonathan. Good to have you on representing Blackford.
Much appreciated.
Good stuff. Item number 2 is to receive any apologies for absence.
I've none, Chair.
Okie dokes. Item number 3, reports from county and district councillors. Over to you, David.
Sorry, lost my cursor for a little minute there. Okay, so lovely to see you all. Nice to see on Sunday, talking about vaccination, nice to see on Sunday that we were, according to the national press, top of the vaccination league in the whole country in Somerset. So I think that's quite a feather in our cap, really. And I think it's a fine example of all the nice joined up work we've been doing with the district council, sort of manning the places, because that's where, I think I've reported in the past, that's where a lot of our staff are currently deployed. So that's all pretty good news. The County Council today passed its budget for next year. So we had our annual meeting today, which for the first time I think I can remember, we've set aside quite a big increase in what I would describe as the care services. I think there's an £11 million increase in the adult social care budget and £8 or £9 million increase in the children's budget, because we're expecting a much greater demand going forward, and we will all be pleased to know that actually we've now committed another, I think, £4.1 million to green issues going forward. Quite a big chunk of that, I think, is the County Council launching their own wind farm, solar farm. So all looking good, and I know those of you who are frustrated not had a result about your various bids from the Green Fund. I understand as of today, we've done quite a lot of evaluation. It'll go to the panel shortly. So that's, again, pretty good news. And whereas I haven't got anything specific to talk about in terms of Wedmore, Chairman, you kindly agreed that I could just have a little comment on the 67 bus funding, which I know you are looking at later on your agenda. I chair the group that tries to keep all the parishes together on this, so I do hope that you can support it from your bit. You will probably have gathered, or maybe you haven't gathered from the correspondence, that because I haven't had to have a physical meeting, and I think we would all agree it's much easier to keep a control of a meeting when you can see the whites of their eyes. We haven't had an actual meeting this year, and there's a bit of a breakaway faction at the Wells end who seem to think that they don't really, paraphrase, I don't know whether they're really that bothered about the route going all the way to Burnham, as long as they can get from wherever they are to Wells. So, but we're keeping that on mind, and actually the County Council, again, because of COVID, we are happy, well, relatively happy, to continue to subsidise the route. So hopefully you will continue to pay whatever you paid last time, which I think seems to be the mark in my parishes, and we will sort it out when we all get back together again. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, David. Hands raised if anybody's got any questions for our county councillor. Joe, and then Sue Worrell.
It's just, I know you sent an email, but Church Street, the water.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had a response from Bristol Water, who said that they've tested the water on Church Street a number of times and indicate that it is not their water.
Right, and I rather felt that we were going to get into a row as to whose water it was. Let me just check the email that I got. What day did I tell you that it was going to be fixed?
Tomorrow.
Ah, good. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to open up a pit in the ground to see if we can work out whose water it is. And I think, as I've had quite a lot of emails on this, as you could imagine, and And as I've said to some, I really hope it's a simple pipe leaking, because that's easy. The rest of my division has multiple springs bursting out all over the carriageways because we've had such a wet winter. And you know, a nice simple pipe break would be good, that easy to fix. We don't really have too many solutions to natural springs, I'm afraid. So keep your fingers crossed for tomorrow.
Okay, I'll forward you the response that I got. I mean, it was by a social media messenger, but that is a legitimate form of communication, it seems, these days. So I'll forward you, David, so you can see it.
Well, I think I've, what have I had here? I've had, well, no, forward it to me anyway. Let's belt and brace this. I mean, any information we've got, and I'll try and head off the county council on the at the pass, because the first thing they're going to say is not our water.
Yeah, well, this is what happened last time. This is what happened when it was a few feet away, and it was investigated. The road was dug up, and I think it's all been closed up, and it's just burst out somewhere else.
I've had some very impressive pictures. Must be like a skating ring, even though
it was terrible actually last week.
Even though we're salting it twice a day, but it must slow people down a bit, I guess.
Yeah, it was. Some people had fallen over, and it was pretty thick. But there we are.
Okay.
I had Sue Worrell next, please.
Yeah, just a quick word, David, about the 67, because I was going to deal with that later. I get that the funding that we're talking about now is the one for 2021. But as far as I'm aware, the Wedmore to Wells part of it is going to be run as a commercial concern, a going concern. And the part from Burnham to Wedmore is going to be run by by Somerset County Council. So I don't know whether you're the same.
I'm a little puzzled by that, because I thought the Mendip Community Transport seemed like quite a good solution. Not for profit. Bus was a bit small. But it seemed to fix it at relatively little cost. So I've got a million emails here. Sue, I'll look back through my emails, and because I'm a little bit, I didn't realize we were actually changing the service. All I always worry about in these issues is trying to make sure I can keep all the parish councils singing from the same hymn sheet.
I'm with Sue on that one, because we saw an email and we sort of did a bit of a woohoo great result at the bottom of it, and now you've just told us of something a bit different. It's like, oh. Well,
no, I mean, frankly, it is a great result from the parish council, because we're not actually asking you for any more money at present. It just means that we will lose a bit more on the subsidy. But hey ho, we have had extra money from the government for transport losses in this pandemic, so that was where some of it will go.
Good. Thank you. Got anybody else? Jonathan Newton, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, David. Just regarding Blackford Traffic Calming Initiative, I see we've got some paint on the roads on the eastern side, which is the countdown markers and new 30-mile-an-hour signs, which is great.
Excellent. Good.
And I think they're also required on the western side when people drive from Wedmore to Blackford as well. But I was wondering whether there's any update on the new signage, the yellowback signs that were discussed as well.
The yellowback signs, or these village gateways, which I know that I've seen some artist impressions that I think, Alistair, was it you that sent through, or was it Jonathan that sent through to your new highway signs and lines lady, Aileen Fletcher?
Yeah, I spoke to Aileen today. She's approved the gateways, locations.
Okay.
So she'll do that. She did that verbally today. She'll do it in writing in the next week, so we can move forward with the design, costing, and installation process. But the yellowback signs is the other thing that you were working on, and replacing the signage, because the signage is pretty much invisible. It's old, faded, and kind of disappears into the hedgerows.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you said we just put some new signs up.
No, what's been done is some paint on the road. So it's countdown markers,
right?
And the 30-mile-an-hour paint on the road. That's just some paint work has been done.
Okay.
But yeah, the yellowback signs, I know you're also looking at, so just wondering whether there's an update on the time.
Well, let me, I imagined, I mean, although these things rarely get done at the same time, I imagine that was in hand, but I will chase it for you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments for David Huxtable? Oh, I can't see any, David, so you've got...
Looks like I've got away with it lightly, Chairman.
Yeah, we always think of them once you've gone.
I know. Well, Rod can always drop me a line. Well, in fact, I have correspondence with loads of you, so that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you for joining us.
I'll leave you to it. Thank you very much.
Right, David. District Council front, since our last meeting, I've attended a Teams full council meeting where we voted for in favour of our new Chief Executive, Bob Brown, after Alison Griffin has chosen to retire, which she announced last year, but she's retiring in April. Bob's worked for Sedgemoor since 2001, and he's held the posts of the Solicitor of the Council, Corporate Director and a Strategic Director. So everyone approved him becoming the new Chief Exec. I've also Will and I joined an Axbrew full drainage board meeting where we had to vote on a new chairman after some strange goings on before Christmas, I think it was, some fisticuffs over various issues. And we then had to vote eventually on raising the penny rate increase as a sort of special levy breakdown for Sedgemoor and things, and that's why Sedgemoor district councillors are involved with the drainage board, so that we can keep a check on how much they want to raise the rate to council taxpayers, because otherwise they might run away with themselves and charge an awful lot more. And when you think there's an awful lot of different districts that feed in to the bowl we sit in, Sedgemoor pays the biggest contribution towards the drainage board. So we had to vote on that. I've had some interesting questions from parishioners. I've had someone ask me about what the statistics of the amount of people are going to be living in Wedmore once all the new houses are occupied. So I had an email from Nick Tate sort of filling me in, and I think that was something to do with the church scheme. And other than that, it's fairly quiet. So we'll move on. We've got a full council next week, I think, as well. Okay, unless anyone's got any questions for me, but no, lovely. Okay, let's crack on then. Item number 4, to record any declarations of interest.
I've got none, Chair.
Okay. Item number 5, minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of January 2021 to be approved and signed.
They've been circulated, everybody. They're here ready for your signature. I'll drop them with you tomorrow.
Super duper. Thank you, Rod.
Everybody's okay with that?
Well, I think so. You would have heard, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I should have been.
Item number 6, matters arising. No. Oh, Alistair's got a matter arising. Go for it, Alistair.
Yes, by an unfortunate oversight in the minutes, it does talk about the Good Neighbour scheme that came up, and subsequent to that minute, we encouraged them to put in a grant application, which was being received. They're looking for a £500 contribution towards the setting up of a permanent Good Neighbour scheme, and they have put in applications for other funds from other bodies, trying and raise just short of £2,000. The reason I'm raising it now is that between Rod and I, we managed to not get it on the agenda, but I did feel that as we discussed it last time, that it was reasonable to raise it under matters arising. My colleagues, Judy and Sue, have both seen the paperwork, and we've jointly agreed that it's a good scheme. It follows on the voluntary work that's been going on for at least the last year. And it's really trying to put it on a proper footing with training and all the other things to make sure that it maintains a high standard of delivery to our residents through a team of volunteers. But the funding is for things like DBS checks, waterproof posters and cards, safety training, first aid training, a mobile phone, those sort of things. So if you are happy to discuss this at this meeting, then we can take it forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Rod.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda, Chair. That was totally down to me, I'm afraid. If anybody has got any serious objections, this is fairly an emergency, I think, tonight for funding for this group. Otherwise, we'll have to defer it to the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I know they're coming. I've got a grants meeting with Sedgemoor on Tuesday, and I know that they're one of the groups coming forward for funding. So yeah, I mean, are we going to discuss this now and get it sorted now? Is everyone happy?
Is anybody not happy?
Let's have a
I just have a question. I haven't actually seen the grant application, so are we voting on it? In which case, can I see it?
The procedure we've been following, Dave, is that we have a subcommittee of 3 people who view them, and then we report back to the committee. So they haven't been all circulated. There's quite a lot of, some of the grant applications have quite a lot of documentation, because we asked for copies of constitution, last audited accounts and so on. So it'd be quite a big task to get to everybody, and not all of them come in electronic form. So up till now, we've worked on this basis. If you want to see it, I'm more than happy to send it to you.
Do you want it, David?
I'm happy to, yeah. I didn't know if I was going to vote on it. I think, again, if there's a subcommittee agreeing these, then I'm happy with that. I just wasn't sure what the process was.
Yeah, no, they all have to be kind of scrutinised by the subcommittee, and then they decide and then bring it back to us to vote on. So,
Chair, I am minded, with Alice's consent, to defer this to March, if that's not going to cause a problem. We put it on the agenda. Like, I think this should come and bite us back.
General view. I mean, they won't be getting their money straight away from Sedgemoor, then. So. Because the meeting's next week, so potentially. Nandin?
Can't we perhaps agree it in principle and agree it properly at the next meeting, formally?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I saw lots of nodding.
Thought, really.
I saw lots of nodding, so I don't think anyone's going to turn around and say, no, we don't want to help fund this fantastic new scheme. So potentially, yeah. Sean?
Alistair, do you know what percentage, how much the DBS checks cost, and sort of what percentage of that is of the 500? Because, I mean, it's great to have volunteers, but I'm just wondering how much money goes to this, the cost of DBS.
I think it's about 85 quid for a DBS check, a DBS thing.
But so if the Good Neighbour scheme wants to get volunteers, and I'd certainly be willing to do it, it used to be free for volunteers, but I think that's probably all gone now.
It's not anymore. That we did have a discussion about that.
So 10 volunteers would be £850.
Yeah, but some volunteers obviously have still got them. Still, I've got a DBS.
Transferable, are they?
So I've got a DBS anyway. I think you only have to have a one. No, you don't. Oh, the green group are all shaking their heads. I think that's where we discussed it. Go ahead, Alistair, and then Nandin.
The DBS checks that out of the 1,824 in their budget, they have £650 down for DBS.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, Nandin?
I think they're principally wanting to use the DBS checking to help with drivers, so that people can get to and from hospitals and whatever. And obviously any extra will go elsewhere. But the trouble is, I think you have to be DBS for very specific things. You for every single different thing you do, you have to have a DBS check, and it's very expensive for a lot of charities.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll get their money. So I think in principle, I think we'd all happily support this, but I think we formally have to agree it on the agenda next month. Correct, Rod?
I think that's the safest way, Chair.
Okay.
Alistair, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, if I've understood what we've agreed properly, that next time we don't need a presentation, we will just
it
be
nodded through. Thank you.
Great. Brilliant. Okay. Public participation.
Holly, sorry.
7. Oh, Jackie, sorry.
Sorry, quickly. We're looking at replacing the fencing alongside the road at Blackford Play Area. I'm not sure if now's the right time to raise it. We've had a quote, but the person that's given us the quote says there's lots of saplings and things that need cutting back. Is that something that the Parish Council can sort out?
Yeah. I thought, did you not get my message?
Yeah. But
we will sort that out. Because we do the maintenance. So yeah, we'll message about that privately. But yeah,
thank you.
That's okay. So we have got several members of Wedmore Green Group. I can't remember what we're called now.
Green Wedmore.
Sorry, Green Wedmore. Green. Is anyone talking, or are we just going to wait till we get onto Worthington Woods? And if we have any questions we need answering, is that how we're going to do that? Good plan.
I've actually been given 3 minutes by Rod.
Oh, well, you go for it, girl.
Can I do that?
Go for it.
I'm making a habit of this. I think I was here last month too.
You were.
Go.
So yeah, Rod has given me 3 minutes just to address a couple of points. Thank you for the recent proposal that you have given Green Wedmore to take on the lease for the ground known as Worthington Woods. But I'm afraid we're not able to take this commitment on. We're a small group and do not want to find ourselves having to continually raise funds to maintain the woodland, and it will be an additional pull on our time. My second point I'd like to make is in relation to clarifying the position of the maintenance costs. I have recently received an email from your clerk questioning this point. So if I may state the following. 1, I was approached by the chair of your council to come up with some ideas on how best to develop this area. We had an initial on-site meeting with Neil on the 10th of November 19. Minutes were distributed to all parties, including the council chair. The minutes included Wedmore Parish Council paying for all works on site as per Neil's wishes. 2, when Polly became chair, Steve, Sonia and myself had a meeting at Pumpkin Cafe to clarify Polly was happy to carry on in the same way that Neil had wished. I referenced the minutes of the 10th of November 19. All was okay and Polly was happy to proceed as planned. Point 3, a further on-site meeting was held on the 24th of August 2020. Socially distanced with residents of Worthington Close to discuss the plans with neighbours, ask for their ideas and answer any questions. 13 councillors were invited to this meeting as per email on the 24th of August 20. Nandin and Sean kindly came along. Minutes record the council will be managing the site with regards to simple maintenance plan, e.g. the mowing of paths. Minutes were emailed to all parties, including the council, chair and the clerk. Confirmation was received that the council has insurance for the site. 4, Polly was sent a plan on the 16th of September last year confirming the role of both the Food Forest Project, the Parish Council and Green Wedmore. Polly had acknowledged this email and CC'd in her reply to Rod, all looks good, thank you Vanessa. The email said, please find attached the plan, useful in outlining who is doing what. If you are happy with it, please let me know, and then the trees, bushes and shrubs can be ordered. This timeline of events has been signed off as a true account by my Vice Chair, Sonia, the Food Forest Project, Steve Muse, and as per my first point, Neil Ellis. I'm happy to forward this account to anyone that would like it for their records. So I hope you can see that I have done everything that I can to make it absolutely clear at no point were Green Wedmore responsible for the ongoing maintenance fees. In a bid to inform the council throughout each critical stage, I have communicated with the chair, particularly when the Food Forest project was starting to spend money. So I don't feel I can be held responsible for the inner goings on of the council chamber and how it processes its information. This little piece of ground has now been transformed, and in time it will be an even lovelier place, one that speaks of permaculture, regeneration, and a place that lets nature thrive. This part of the plot has not had any real purpose for some time, a kind of nothing land with no identity, but soon when it opens it can be enjoyed by many. I would encourage you all to look at this green project as a council asset, as a green first council initiative, and one that you can be proud of. One delivered at no cost or effort by yourselves, but wonderfully given to you as a gift through the hands of lots and lots of volunteers. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much, Vanessa. Item number 8, financial matters.
Yes, all the accounts add up to the penny, Chair. All the bills have been paid, and I've had reports back from the 2 examiners.
Great, thank you very much. Item number 9, to receive a report on the proposed cycle path to Blackford. Babs, that's over to you.
Thank you. I circulated the information before the meeting so everyone could have a look at it beforehand. I don't really want to go over it in huge amounts of detail unless anyone's got any questions. It's really just to try and get some funding so that we can get some signs up. I have contacted a local printer in Cheddar who said that they could do estate agent signposts, which would be double-sided, which would be better, I think. Mm-hmm. That would cost £13, roughly. It sort of depends on the colours and things that are used, but that is the rough idea of a price. With a post as well, which would cost a couple of quid, then we're looking at about £15 per sign. And it's really just to ask for your support to get 12 signs initially put up around mainly the school run from Wedmore to Hugh Sexy's, to remind people that there are other users other than drivers. Any questions?
I think it's a fab scheme, and I know you put 3 different choices down, didn't you?
Well, there's 3 winners, so the school kindly did.
No, I meant of 3. You know what you were wanting funding on.
Yes.
And I know that we have that. What's that fund, Rod?
The 137 fund.
The 137. I mean, I would happily propose we just pay for the lot out of the 137 fund. I think it's the least the parish council can do.
I haven't got a problem with that at all.
No. Anybody else got any questions on that, or any questions?
Just because I just where are these signs going? I mean, perhaps I've not been diligent enough, but I don't know which route this is to be signposted, as it were.
So initially, we are suggesting the sort of a little island, you know, that corner there that goes up the hill, because that's quite dangerous, on Wells Way, and also the Blackford side, the Blackford Redmond Hill.
Yes.
So initially, those are the areas that we're looking at. But obviously, if it's successful and it's well received, then maybe we could look at further doing more signs in the future, you know, because the Stoughton Road is really busy, and I know people cycle on there, especially school children, and, you know, around the parish, it'd be nice to see them around. They're nice, jolly signs.
Yeah, it's just my question really was, and you've answered it, is which route, you know, there have been so many routes and what have you discussed, and well, because we don't meet together and chat, I wasn't sure that the route was the Little Ireland and then those crossroads and down to your right to the school. And Redmond's Hill is fair enough. There's a lot of, I don't suggest you put one, but there's a lot of mostly car traffic, but there are quite a few cyclists that come down Stoughton Road.
Yes.
They come from Allerton and Weir, and we live on Stoughton Road, and it is, you know, quite surprising the amount of, and quite, you know, youngish children on bicycles, which, you know, one obviously has to be quite diligent. There is a what I call a pinch point at the bottom of Stoughton Road as it approaches Blackford, where there's 2 high hedges and banks. And that's the piece that would, you know, I mean, our own grandchildren do that route sometimes, which is, or, well, they don't now because, well, they've gone on to Kings of Wessex and other places. But, you know, I wasn't sure of which route you were sort of targeting.
I think if it's well received, then it'd be nice to put them in other places, especially so Stoughton Road, but also in Sand, because I know quite a few cyclists travel from Sand, and there's some hairy points there as well. So, you know, initially we're asking for 12 signs at a cost of about between £240 and £300, and we'll see how we get on with that. That's what we'd like your support for.
Okay. Anybody else got anything to say, Glenys?
No, can I propose that we do this? I think it's high time we did put some signs up. We've talked about it for a long time, and I would like to propose that we go ahead and do this.
Okay, Alistair?
Yeah, my question was, I've never heard of Section 137. I've no idea what it is, so perhaps Rod could enlighten us as to where this money's coming from.
Yeah, don't worry, Alistair. Section 137 is a fund of money. It comes out of our general account. It's based on how many electors we have in our electorate, and it's set by the government every year. It's about £8 per electorate. And it's just a fund which the parish councils can spend where they don't have any other direct liabilities. We normally use things like a poppy wreath and things like this, and the Christmas trees we give around the village to the businesses. But it comes out of our general funds. But there is a maximum we spend, but we're nowhere near that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody else? Nandin? Can't hear you.
I just wondered if we could actually make a few of them permanent, actually. If the landowners are prepared to have the posts, then we could wall up a few in.
I think that's the plan, isn't it?
No, I meant rather than just be estate agents type signs, you know, have some metal signs created as well, which would.
Well, then that's down to county council, really.
And you have to pay. They're quite expensive to sort out because they're £500 per sign, and it will take years.
Yes, because that's down to the county council.
So we were just looking at something to try and you know, see if it works.
Yeah.
You have a proposal, Chair.
Yeah, have I got a seconder? I've got Joe. Thank you, Joe. Seconded that.
Babs, if you just get an invoice made out to the parish council, please.
Brilliant.
Sorry, I think Nandin wanted to carry on saying something. Nandin, did you want to carry on saying something? No? Okay. Fine, lovely, that's great news. Let's get that done. Item number 10, to consider the usage and responsibilities for Worthington Woods and surrounding land. I had a nice Zoom call with Sonia and Vanessa and Steve, because I think I got some stuff lost in translation, and I think yeah, basically I couldn't, you know, actually I haven't been resent it, but that agreement we we had, because a lot of things were verbal, but I know that stuff was emailed too. But I think we got confused about maintenance and was thinking it was going to cost us gross amounts of money, but obviously it's not. It's still just about cutting the nettles and the grass, which is what we would do on that site anyway, and it will probably be less because we've removed a lot of the nettles and there's lots of planting there now, so hopefully it'll just continue. I know we've talked about we've had to look into fencing. We were rather hoping that we'll get away with just doing natural grass rather than having to put a fence there, which will then end up rotting and being replaced in the future. And with any luck, you know, there isn't any other fencing along the Lurburn, but I don't know where we've got with that. And anybody else got anything they want to talk about the Worthington Wood site? Any questions they've got?
Only just, Madam Chairman, if I can just say, it's just slight concern about the fact that I'm not absolutely, well, I helped to do some of the trees, as you know, but I wasn't sure about the fence between the actual site and the brook. Yeah. Because that brook gets very full from time to time, and it's right adjacent, isn't it?
It is, correct.
I mean, I'm only just posing the question, but you know, that's the only place that I would imagine there would be any. Yeah, there could be a real danger. I mean, you can't budget for accidents which happen within the compound, if you want to call it that. But that brook, it does take a lot of water, particularly, but as it happens, particularly in the wintertime. I'm only just posing the question, that's all.
Okay, yeah. Vanessa, do you want to come back?
Yeah, it's just a bit of an update, really, in that Jackie, one of your councillors, gave me a contact for health and safety officer at Sedgemoor. And we've got two routes. We can either let it grow up and form a natural border, or we can put in a knee-high rail. So I've got some quotes for the knee-high rail. That was very expensive. I went back to Mr. Bethel and he's done a post and rail quote for me, which was about £500. I have emailed the health and safety lady. She hasn't got back to me yet. What my query is now, which is stopping us kind of signing it off, is obviously the grass isn't very long at the moment, so that natural border isn't in place. So I need to know that if she is happy that we can let it grow up, or whether we don't open it until such time it is, or it has grown up, or we put some temporary boundary there. Obviously we have to be really, we've got to make sure it's safe, but then again it's a naturally occurring waterway, and some degree of common sense is involved. That there is nowhere down the Wedmore Moor Drove where you have fencing. It's all sort of a little bit grown up of nettles or a hole or something, so we adopted that same plan. And it was only,
I mean, the only fencing is to keep the cattle from going in.
But we have to be, or you have to be satisfied that it's, you know, we don't want to be having this conversation after something has happened.
No, correct.
So I'm waiting to hear back, but I know she's working from home, homeschooling children as well. So that's been the delay. As soon as I get any information, I can pass it through. And then once, you know, we know what's happening, we can then put an open sign on the gate and welcome people. So that's an update I've got.
I mean, in hindsight, it's probably a sensible thing to put a fence up with warning signs, because we're going to have to cover ourselves just in case. I've got Sue Worrell and then I've got Jackie Farley.
Yeah, and just to ask Vanessa, is there no way you can put a hedge in, plant a hedge row, as opposed to a fence?
There is, but hedges take a little while to grow up.
Yeah.
I've got a very kind offer from Tristan from the Food Forest Project, who is here tonight if you want to ask him any questions about anything. He has kindly offered us some whips to go in. Reimagining the levels have also come to our aid, and they have also offered us whips. But as you know, with a whip,
yeah,
narrow, their bare route, they would need to go in straight away. Would it create enough of a barrier? I don't know. So I have put all these questions to the health and safety lady, lots of different points. So it's a really good question. It's whether that is a robust enough boundary.
I wonder whether we can put a post and rail up first, then plant behind it, and then hopefully the hedge will grow up eventually, and we won't need them to replace the fence when it rots.
We could do that. I don't think Rod said he had funds for that, so I was trying to do the other route if we could.
Yeah. Well, we currently, yeah. Okay, Jackie.
Yeah, it needs to be a metre wide strip between the ditch and anything else. So it's a question, as you say, the grass isn't growing at the moment. And if we plant whips and things in, you want them to be protected. Otherwise, the kids, as we know, will create a path and a little route. So it's a bit chicken and egg, isn't it, really?
Okay.
Dennis?
We complain at the Acorn development and the Grange development when they don't fence off their suds or whatever it is, their watered areas. I think we really should put a fence along there of some description. I really do.
Because it's a naturally occurring obstacle, if to call it an obstacle, it's not an obstacle, because it's a naturally occurring feature. The requirements are less stringent than if it was a ditch that had been dug.
I still think it needs some sort of fence, just a post and rail or a knee-high something, and then shrubs grow up behind it, something.
Yeah,
but we've got to put something there.
Sorry, Glenys. Yeah, Emily,
something there.
Well, I just wanted to confirm. So, are we saying that the parish council are going to be responsible for maintenance of this area?
Yeah, we have been in the past.
So would it be worth someone within the parish council getting a quote for a fence, even if it's just going to be temporary while the hedge is growing, to see if we can find some money for it?
I have got that from Mr. Bethel, and it's about £500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So, you know, there is a potential answer there that, well, we do, you know, for insurance reasons and for safety reasons, we're going to have to put something up, I think, because, well, God forbid something did happen.
Well, can I propose that we go ahead and put a fence up?
Is that
I'd like to second that.
Yeah, I was going to second it.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed into seconder. Several, I think.
Yeah, Sue.
I've got Sue. Well, that'll do first.
Okay. So we'll take a vote on that. All those in favour of us funding, putting up the fence along on the bank. Yeah, that's looking unanimous, I think. Good stuff. Okay, there you go. That's a result. And has anybody, we've got here also responsibilities for and, oh no, that's it.
I think that covers that.
The usage, we don't know what we're going to do with the next strip of it. That is, you know, there were talks of a car park and things, but at the moment, that's way off because that's a very expensive addition currently. So I think, I don't know if anyone's got any other fantastic ideas. Judy?
Well, I have talked to Vanessa. We had some ideas about having it as a sort of joining area to the Worthington Wood and somewhere for the for perhaps there to be a forest school and for the children to come and when they're on guide camps and things to light their fires, and just a nice little amenity area, a piece of land that people can use for different things.
Yeah, I would completely agree. There's not many opportunities in this world we live in where you are able to hand over a piece of green space and use it for some green.
And kids can light campfires and things, you know, actually do things on it.
Yeah, I think that's something I've been really sort of passionate about. I know there are other people who might not want to, but you know, we're trying to encourage people to walk and cycle and not get in their cars.
And somewhere to have a picnic as well.
Yeah, I would.
Nice picnic bench in the corner, it'd be lovely.
Yeah. Joe.
Yeah, just following on from really what Judy was saying, expanding there, one of the things that I've kind of recognised, besides the individual play areas, there's no sort of park space for people to go and sit in and around Wedmore. There's the odd bench, as we know, along the roads, but it would be nice to have some sort of benches, seating area for people to be able to wander down there and sit and look at the wood as it develops.
To contemplate.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for us to do that in these crazy days. So there. Anybody got any other questions for our Green members while they're here? Sue, were you? No? Judy and then Pete.
Okay, I was just also wondering about with maintenance and mowing, whether there's room for sort of doing a lot of some more mulched paths, things so that there was less mowing required. If we could mulch the pathways down, we wouldn't have to do so much maintenance on them.
Go, Vanessa.
I could either take this or maybe Tristan, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, we had discussed, it was a very good idea. We had discussed mulching them before. The only thing is that does need renewing. And although you'll likely get the mulch for free, I know in Wedmore there are a couple of tree surgeons that I'm sure will drop, you know, wood chippings down there for free. It's then actually having to physically do the act of, you know, the remulching. So I think that should be a consideration. But having said that, I do think it is a good idea. Sorry, Vanessa, that was all I wanted to say, really.
Sorry, thank you. I have got here the maintenance plan. Basically, it is just mowing some paths. It's not mowing everything. It's just so that people can get from each tree and bush. And there's a picnic area, which is going to have benches. And the church has very kindly given us a bench too, which is really lovely. So there will be some seating there, but the mowing is just going to be a few paths. It's not going to be, you know, the whole lot. You might find that you spend less on it now it's planted up than you were before. So
yeah, it's a win-win. Great. Okay. Are we happy to move on then? Brilliant. Thank you all for joining us anyway. And thank you for all your amazing work with Worthington Woods. It's going to be such a nice asset and so nice to have another nice green space that will link up with the footpaths and things. We're getting there slowly. But thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Tristan and Sonia and all of you. Good to see you. But you may stay if you'd like to. You don't have to go. Okay, item number 11, to agree part funding of the 67 bus route. Over to you, Sue.
Hi, well, before David had his little say, I was convinced on this. I don't know whether all the new members are aware, but Wedmore, along with all the other parish or town councils along the route of the 67 bus from Burnham to Wells, have funded the service for 3 years. I think it could be 3 or 4, but I'm not quite sure. Since the previous provider ceased business and Somerset County Council were unable to fund it at the time, we would have continued to fund this vital bus service into the future. However, it has been decided by Somerset County Council and the councils along the route that the route is to be split. From the 1st of April, the Burnham to Wedmore section will be funded by Somerset County Council completely, leaving the Wedmore to Wells section. Now, this is a just a profitable service and is to be run at the moment, is going to be run by Wedmore Community Transport as a regular transport provider.
You mean Mendip Transport?
Mendip Community Transport, sorry. As a backup, there is a shortfall. If there's a shortfall in the revenue for this Wells to Wedmore section run by Mendip, they have got some 106 monies, which are held by Somerset County Council for St Cuthbert's Out Parish. They got this money when the houses around them were built in Wells, and that was to mitigate transport. So they're going to use that shortfall if needed, because they think that building the bus route up after COVID might be a bit dodgy. The first year they might need to dip into those funds. This means that our 2021 contribution, which is the one that we're going to pay, that is now due, will be the last as it stands now. But after what David said, I'm really not sure what the future is, but I can't see it ever being very much more than we pay at the moment, because it's now being run on precept, which it wasn't before. It was, well, I mean, we struggled at the beginning to get either Wells or Burnham to contribute at all. They were shamed into it in the end. Anyway, our contribution this year is £1,428.26. And this is out of a total of £18,967.62. It has to be pointed out to the parishes that they would no longer have a direct influence on the Wedmore to Wells route, as this is now a commercial venture. Whereas before we've been able to have the bus stops moved and, you know, have little tweaks to timetables, etc. But as this now is going to be a commercial venture, that won't happen. So as long as I'm right and I get this information from Kim Hawes, who is the Sedgemoor County Council Transport Manager, or is just about to leave that post actually, and there'll be somebody else. So that's what they're asking us to pay, which is due now. Okay, any questions?
No questions. There you go. Lovely. Thank you for that, Sue. Item number 12, to consider Green Wedmore issues, charter, climate emergency, grant funding. Who's running with this one then?
I'm running. I asked for the grant to be put on, but I'm not sure who's running with the other items. But we can do the grant first if you like, which was well, Alistair will probably want to talk about it because it's gone to the subcommittee for the grants, but it's basically for the sample of the cookbook that I sent round to everyone earlier to help fund that so that Green Wedmore can publish it and sell it to raise funds. But I'll pass over to Alistair because he's got the application.
Yes, thank you, Emily. I was going to start off by asking you to introduce it, but basically this is a fairly straightforward application. The application is for £800 out of a budget of £1,600, which is being match funded by the supporters of the Green Wedmore group. I'm not sure who. My two assistants we've all looked at it and we all think it's a very worthwhile scheme because it's encouraging people to purchase locally produced food, to improve their diet, but also to help the producers of local food in our area. But also, when you've got this locally produced food, the cookbook will give you some ideas of how to turn it into a delicious meal. I don't really think there's an awful lot more to say about it, except for it seemed to the three of us an excellent idea.
So do I need to propose
yes.
that we pass the grant, or
yes,
is that
a proposer and a
okay.
seconder?
Okay. Anyone want a second? Joe?
Yeah, looks like Joe's seconding, Emily proposing. All those in favour? Hands in the air. Anyone against? No, looks like everyone's happy. Good
Okay,
stuff. Right, Green Wedmore issues I've got here. So we've got charter and climate emergency. Who's leading on those? It's all gone deathly silent. No one.
Sure.
I wasn't sure who proposed this agenda item. I did ask, but it certainly wasn't me. But there's been some confusion about whether the Green Charter is actually officially adopted, and I'm sure we could sort of work it out quite quickly, bearing in mind that you would have all seen documents with the word adopted on it, which probably lulled me into a false sense of security a long time ago, thinking that that was done and dusted. But if Rod's saying that it has to be done, I don't know, through a vote or something like that, well,
yeah.
So be it. I think there are proposals involving Steve, am I right, Steve, that it's going to be updated, but should we just go with what we've got at the moment and then go with that, and then we'll see how we can review it one thing at a time, rather than rip up something which we thought was already in place. So if we can proceed with the overarching 10 points which are on the Green Charter, we could vote on it, but obviously there might be questions. I don't know how many of you have read it fully. Back to August 19.
David?
Sorry, yeah, I suppose having read through the minutes, I think we did briefly touch on this a week or so ago. It was proposed and seconded and voted through and then adopted, and previously in subsequent minutes said adopted. So I suppose it's whether we do need to vote on it, is it or not already adopted, but I suppose, yeah.
Well, we could nail it now, I'm sure, to make sure there's no ambiguity.
Should we just do it a second time then, just to make sure?
Exactly that.
Okay, have I got a proposer and a seconder? Right, I've got David Cox proposing, I've got Sue Worrell seconding that we adopt the Green Charter and the climate emergency, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. All those in favour?
That clears up a lot of confusion for me, thank you.
Brilliant,
Yeah,
thank you. Sorted. Well, that's that issue done then. Great. So let's move on to item number 13, update on priority list of projects. David Cox.
Hi, yeah, so I sent around a paper a week ago maybe, just on the list of projects. Welcome any feedback if there is any, but essentially I'm proposing that we kind of adopt these lists of projects as the priority lists. Obviously we can always add more to them and remove them in future if things change, but I think it just maybe gives us something to focus on. Obviously I've left spaces where I don't know if anyone is currently working on them, so again I'm happy to hold the pen on that list if people want to put their names forward for any of these things. Again, Alistair, I haven't had a chance to catch up with you on the ones that you did the survey on previously, but again, happy to talk. You're happy to take any questions on that.
Alistair had his hand up.
Yes, thanks, David. It's one of those things I've meant to contact you. First of all, good work on that evening. It was quite a hefty list, and we obviously need to prune it down. As far as the ones that in the transport section of the neighbourhood plan, what I proposed to do was to take to the Highways Committee next meeting to discuss whittling it down to a short list of ones that we try and take further and review again, because some of the projects may just not be possible or not affordable, or legally impossible, I don't know. So the next highways meeting, we were going to thrash through those elements which I put forward from the neighbourhood plan. I think the same thing needs to happen to the rest. We can't obviously do them all, but if we choose a small number to take forward and see how far we can get, that I think will help us to look as if we're achieving something, but at the same time, we've done it in a sort of fairly well coordinated way, because we've looked at all of them to start with and then whittled them down gradually to choose a couple of deliverable ones which we can then really push on with.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also like to really thank David too, because I know you've put a lot of effort in, and it's lovely to have someone organise it. I thank all the people who've also volunteered to take on some of those projects. You know, we've wanted a wish list, and it's a great thing. You know, I had this vision of having a great big list on the wall in the parish council room, and we get a big marker pen and cross them off as we go. Yeah, we might not be able to achieve them all, but we could certainly start achieving them, because I sometimes feel we're wading through treacle and getting nowhere. So, you know, good. And I thank you all for those who work so hard and want to get involved. Emily.
Yes, thank you, David. But I've just realised that also within the last point, I think David or I were going to raise the question of the feasibility study for the renewable energy generation. I think we said that we were going to ask for a vote of support on whether...
Go on mute, Emily.
Oh,
sorry, Emily, my fault.
Did you mute me? Well,
I did.
Thanks.
Unintentionally, sorry.
How
You've
far
been
did
warned.
I get?
Everybody's been warned.
How far did I get? Not very far. Yeah, sorry. So it just made me realise that I think within the point 12, David or I were also meant to be asking if the council would support Sonia's application, which she needs to do through a parish council. David, you probably know more about it than me.
Yeah, certainly. So obviously Sonia's done all the hard work, but I think we did discuss this project last time, but essentially, yeah, looking to do a feasibility study on kind of a wind turbine within the parish to support our carbon neutral ambitions with energy. So essentially, all the hard work's being done. There's a zero cost to the council, and pretty much because Sonia's done the hard work with zero effort, it just does require the parish council to submit the application for the grant funding, which is a central government grant funding essentially. So it will need some papers signed and submissions.
So can we propose that the council supports this plan?
No.
No. Yes.
So Polly, you're mute if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, I would support that. It doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah.
I would support it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I propose that we support the council put in the paperwork, because that's all we've got to do. It's all been done for us, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Sonia, if please do correct us if we're wrong, but I think that's our understanding.
Yeah, that's thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for agreeing, because Green Wedmore is unincorporated. We are unable to sign submit the application form, and so we very much thank the parish council for hopefully taking that forward for us. But I will do all the work in that sense, but obviously I can keep you fully informed and updated, and then if we are successful, the grant funding money would have to come into the parish council account, but it's the grant application states what all of that funding is for, and to external consultants and support for the scheme and community engagement and everything that needs to get it kicked off. So so yes, there's no cost to the parish council, and the work required is minimal, but there will be some administration if we're successful, hopefully.
Okay, so have we got a proposer?
Yes, please.
Okay, David and seconder. Alistair, are you seconding? Yeah? Cool. All those in favour? Yeah. Looks like anyone not in favour. Anyone abstaining? No. Cool. Okay. Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Sonia, for doing all that.
Yep.
Right. Item number 14. Issues and questions raised by councillors.
Yes, I think it's perhaps me.
Yeah, you go first,
Yep.
Glenys.
Well, you're all aware that we've received a letter of complaint, and it's obviously a matter which has got to be dealt with professionally. Those of you who are not familiar with the workings of the council, please remember that this is totally confidential. Certain procedures, when a complaint is made, the procedures must be clearly followed. You know, there's things that you have to do. So Polly and I are currently looking into the procedures that we have to follow. We're seeking guidance and advice from the Sedgemoor Monitoring Office and from SALC. And at this evening's meeting, under this agenda, item 14, I, as the Vice Chair, we acknowledge that we've received a complaint. I'm saying that it has been circulated to all councillors and that this complaint will be formally dealt with. And I don't think we need to say anything other than that this evening.
No, lovely. Thank you very much, Glenys. I'll now move around my screen and just run past you all and see if there are any questions or issues raised by councillors. So I can see David Cox first. So David, you got anything?
Not for me, thank you, Polly.
Brilliant. Emily? No. Isabel?
Yes, I got an email from Rupert Bullock from the Green Wedmore group, and he was asking with regard to conducting a survey of people's attitudes to the street lighting in Wedmore. But after discussing maybe our priorities list, we maybe need to get that sorted first before we can see if this is one of the projects that we're going to take forward for a survey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll correspond with them and just tell them that we've done this tonight, and maybe after once we get to the highways meeting, then after that we can see whereabouts this comes in our priority list.
Great. Okay, thank you, Isabel. Okay. Pete, any issues, questions?
No, not other than, you know, I'm glad that you were going to take further advice and
absolutely
spread the load.
Yeah, we will, don't you worry. Thank you, Pete. Glenys?
I've got nothing else now.
No. Nandin? No. Babs? Judy? Jonathan?
No, thank you.
Lovely. Jackie?
No, thank you.
Alistair?
Just to report that Eileen Fletcher, who's our new area transport traffic person, viewed the SID sites that have been put forward in Wedmore today in the pouring rain. She's agreed most of them. We've got a couple of queries on a couple of sites, but we hope now to move that forward to a point where we can actually start thinking about putting the
Brilliant.
Great stuff. Where have I got to? Joe.
Just to say, great to see that the pollarding has started down the extension of the Lurburn, down that drove there behind Worthington Close.
Yeah, I don't think it's finished, but we're on it.
So good start though. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, the screen's moved. Sean? No. Sue?
No.
David?
Yes. No, it's just a quick one. As some, I think, or all you know, in response to Avon and Somerset Police appeal for community speedwatch volunteers, I volunteered myself and are indoors because you need two in the team.
Okay.
She was delighted.
I bet she was.
But anyway, I've now back from them. I've filled in the required information that they need. I have emailed the girl that's the Speedwatch coordinator to say that, you know, we want some decent input on where we will be doing the monitoring, and also that it's important that it's parish wide, not just because I understand that complaints came from antisocial driving in Wedmore. But if we're going to do this, then we want to make sure we can get out to Thiel and Blackford and so on and run with it. So I'll just keep you updated as it goes along. I don't know if anybody else volunteered. I did ask her and she hasn't replied. So, but if not, I'm quite happy to drag the wife out and stand there.
It'd be nice to get her out.
She needs an airing every now and again. So.
You've got to pay for your CRD check.
I've got Jonathan's got his hand up.
Yeah, I'll just say there are 3 volunteers in Blackford who are also in contact with the Community Speedwatch team as well.
Brilliant. Is there's George Cardale?
There's Chris Barrow, there's Pat Benjamin and Justin Ash.
I'll have a word with George Cardale.
That's on camera now.
And George, I think George as well, yes.
And George as well, obviously.
I think so, yeah.
I've got one thing, and that the footpath that runs from Coombatch down to Cross Farm, you know, we're hoping to get it sorted, and we are hoping that the next phase of a development down on the farm site will contribute towards it. But I've found out that Lynn and Richard Tinknell have bought Wedmore International Business Park as a storage site currently. I think at one stage, I don't know whether apply to try and you know, turn it into an antique centre, which would be quite cool. But obviously she stopped me in the street the other day and said, oh, that corrugated iron's terrible, that path's awful, we're going to try and do something about it. So I was like, oh, well, actually, we're trying to do something about it too. So the great news is, as I've walked down there and tried to squeeze through the tiny little gap and thought, oh, the boundary's wrong and we've got to get rid of this awful thing and we'll have to talk to whoever owns the park. They're the business park, they're on it, so that's great. They're very happy to widen the boundary slightly so that we'll be able to get a pushchair down there, so it'll be a lovely safe route eventually into the village. So that's a plus. So I was very pleased that she stopped me in the street and told me that the other day. But other than that, right, moving on. Item 15, correspondence.
No, Chair, all been circulated.
Super. Okay, item 16, committee reports. Cemetery.
Yes. Please don't think that we've had badgers invading the cemetery. I went out there this week and was pretty horrified. It's actually Will's winter maintenance plan. Okay, it will look better soon. We've just had to get rid of a few ant hills. So, yeah.
What's he been doing, blowing them up?
No, he didn't blow them up. It looked like he had.
Putting in grenades.
Anyway, it will be better. Yeah, don't worry. It's under control.
Great stuff. Thank you, Glenys. Facilities and allotments. Anything?
All under control.
All under control. Love it. Finance and general purposes. I don't think there's
nothing now.
Any business there, is there?
No.
Housing.
No.
No. Highways, car park and brook.
Meeting to be arranged soon.
Super. Thank you. Planning.
Meeting
on the 10th of March. I'm sorry, Chair.
Yeah, it's all right. 10th of March.
10th of March. Lovely. Footpaths and green issues.
No, apparently not.
Yeah, just a quick one. The people involved in setting up a climate trail through Wedmore, going up north down around the golf course. There was a commitment by the landowners to use the equipment provided by Somerset County Council to put in a lovely path going all the way north on the east side of the golf course and then back down. And but I did a recce on it last week and nothing's been done. But it's COVID and it's miserable in winter. So apparently they have made a commitment to doing that, but it'll just be delayed. And I don't think the launch of this across the county is going to happen till August anyway.
I've had some, I've seen on social media, someone did a thank you to a local farmer for replacing the gates, putting in some nice new kissing gates and things. I've noticed a few here and there.
Where did you see that? Sorry?
That was on social media last week.
Oh, fantastic.
I saw them on, just off Stoughton Crossroads on the road towards Stoughton. They put the new kissing gates in there, and that's all part to make this a big circular walk. So they have started it.
There are bits happening. I know there's one happened up on the Meadow Estate there, one that goes into a field. I saw some people then. They put a lovely new gate in and some steps. So things are happening, which is lovely.
Yes, they've done one down at the end of Limekiln Lane where we are, where it joins the road from Blacksmith's Lane through, come out at Ashton, and they put some, they've done some work there, and there's two kissing gates.
I'm just wondering who's doing it, because the rights of way, Mendip Ramblers can't do it. The rights of way team said nobody's allowed to do it, but so it must be the landowners themselves using the equipment, which is fantastic.
Yeah, which is great news. Okay, thank you for that. Reports from representatives on committees. Isle of Wedmore News.
Yeah, we had a.
Oh, she's gone.
What are you doing?
We had a meeting on the 11th of February. Okay, and all's going quite well. The money's not coming in quite as quickly as we would like, perhaps because some of the businesses are closed and they're not making the money. We've asked the advertisers if they want to, if they still wish to advertise, and they all seem to want to continue. There's no adverts been dropped. We get some positive feedback from the magazine, from the villagers. And this month, thanks to Sean and the residents of Thiel, who succeeded in delivering the magazine all round Thiel. Thank you very much indeed, Sean. That was really appreciated.
Can I just say, Glenn, that it's a bit confusing. I thought you meant the ward, Thiel, so lots of people got 2 copies. I think you just meant the lower street. So
well, it's as many copies as you can get out there. We have plenty. We have plenty spare, so thank you. Thank you very much for doing that.
That's a job for life now, Sean.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I've had somebody in Thiel actually say, have you taken my route off me? And I said, no. I said, it was just a one-off.
Very territorial. I went on these brilliant play areas, so that's me, isn't it? Yeah, we've had a meeting recently, a Zoom meeting, and glad to see that in Blackford the slide and the steps have been fixed up, and various other things by Johnny Bethel, which is brilliant. We're getting some quotes for some fencing and some more bits need cutting back, and Jackie's got a hand up, so Jackie, you carry on.
Sorry, I've just had a bill from John for that. If I send it in, Rod, can we use some of the money that you're holding?
Brilliant. We've got some separate money from an account that was carried over.
Once I made that to the Parish Council, Jackie.
You're muted.
I can't hear you, but
I'll double check.
Please make sure it's made that to us. John Bethel knows. He knows.
That's great. So we've got some action happening. Play areas being sorted out. So that's lovely. Thank you. Salk.
No, nothing.
Nothing. Wedmore Playing Fields Management Committee?
Nothing.
Nothing. Village Halls? Pete?
No, things, we've just received the application for the, the vote, the election in May.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I shouldn't say, it just puts fear into me. Okay, good. So that'll be happening.
Sure.
Wedmore.
Sure. Oh, sorry.
Wedmore. Yeah. Alistair, and then I'll go into Sean.
Yeah, nothing much to report. Although it's pleasing to note that the grant that the Village Hall received is now being topped up by Sagemore District Council under some government scheme. So financially, it's been a good time to get a lot of the jobs done, which are difficult to do when the hall's being used regularly. So it's been an opportune time.
Okay. Sean, Theo,
Yeah, fantastic news. We've got a booking for a wedding in August.
Wow.
They're going to get married in a new couple that moved in from Bristol. They're going to get married in the church. They're going to use the orchard and put these vintage marquees up and have a big reception in the village hall. So we've got a lot of deep cleaning to do. And they're very excited to be living in the area. And I'd just like to thank you, Polly, for recommending the Somerset Community Fund, which I've spoken to the team there, and they said, by all means, put in an application for 3 projects which we're going to do in Theo Village. It's nothing to do with building. One of them is an intergenerational exercise group,
right?
i.e. table tennis. And they said it's all regeneration after COVID. And if anybody else wants details of that grant, there seemed to be a light touch, and they were very, very helpful. So we're going to apply.
Cool. Brilliant. That's good stuff. Joe?
Just wanted to ask Alistair then, is that work being done then regarding the in the village hall, regarding all of the aircon or the flow of air that we had the presentation on? Is that done?
Yeah, no, it was done before Christmas. It was it's been installed, and for those who've seen it, I gather it's very impressive. It's you know, the air shifts out the hall almost silently, which is what it was intended to be.
Yeah,
really good. Oh, cool. Good stuff. Last one's twinning. Bet there's loads going on there, Judy.
Yes, absolutely nothing at all.
Super. Okay, thank you. Item number 17, matters of report and items for the next meeting. Well, if you've got anything, send them in, and yeah, that's that really. So brilliant. Thank you for all attending. Nice to see you all. Thanks for all your hard work as usual, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a good evening. Bye.
Good meeting. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.